All right, Chelsea fans, we're back with the Manchester United preview. We're going to be looking at injuries, lineups, who I predict is going to start, and maybe even a score prediction, so stay tuned. All right, so jumping into it, we have the Manchester United Red Devils at the weekend for Chelsea. It's going to be, well, potentially an interesting one. They have left no bit of drama ahead of this one as we look to take them on at home at Stamford Bridge. And first things first, we got to look at lineup. Who's available? Who does Graham Potter have to choose from? Obviously, Fofana out. Reece James out. N'Golo Kante out. So let's go ahead and see what Mr. Potter had to say over at the ChelseaFC.com website. So gave us some updates. The biggest one is I think we wanted to know where Conor Gallagher was going to be in terms of fitness for this one. He went off with an illness, said he's going to get sick on the field. According to him, it says Conor Gallagher is back. Everyone is available, including Conor Gallagher. So again, he talked a little bit about how Conor is going to provide that tackle and that steal, and obviously he has a bit of a goal threat. I think it's great to hear that the gaffer looks at Conor as a goal threat, knowing that Kovacic and Jorginho don't really offer that, and I don't think that's anything against them. He's had to play Ruben out of position a little bit. I will address where I think our starting lineup should be ahead of this one and why. But again, Conor is back, so we are pretty much at full fitness. He said Chilwell was just rested because he's coming off of an ACL injury, and he needed a little bit of a break, which is good. He's in good form. There's no sense in risking it. Reece James, just more about that. He's going to be in a brace for 4 weeks. Then they're going to wait and see how it goes. So, aka no real update. You're not going to see him anytime soon. They talked a little bit about N'Golo Kante's contract situation. They got to get him fit first. There's no real point in talking about contracts until he is fit. And then I won't go ahead and click over too quickly on the Ronaldo nonsense, but I will touch on it. I promise you. So I wanted to look a little bit at Manchester United and kind of where they've been. They're actually a bit higher in the table than I think a lot of us give them credit for. They are the ones right on our backside here in 5th place, only a point behind us, level on games played. They're in decent form. 3 wins out of the last 5. We have 4 wins out of our last 5. So not a lot separating us, obviously. They had a big dip at the beginning of the season. At one point, they were 20th in the table. They were dead last, and they've quickly shot up under Ten Hag in a good run of form. I mean, they've lost 1 out of their last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? They've won 6 out of their last 8. Over the long haul, they're definitely progressing week in, week out after their horrific start. And they've got some good results that they've had. So they just beat Spurs 2-0. I'm going to pull up the stats on that one. They absolutely battered them. They obviously got drubbed by Man City, which, again, I just think that fixture is still way too big for them at this point. But then they beat top of the table Arsenal 3-1, emphatically beat them. And then they beat Liverpool. Granted, they had the shit version of Liverpool who were just struggling to do anything, but they still beat them 2-1. So if you just look at the fact that they've beat Liverpool, they've beat Arsenal, and they've beat Tottenham, they've got some good results here in the league so far. And if we look at the Spurs, I just pulled up the stats real quick, and I know it only tells one story. They had 28 shots to Spurs 9. And we know Spurs under Antonio Conte, counterattack, defend first, but they got battered. 10 shots on target to Spurs 2. I mean, the way I look at this is they were just on top of them. They were aggressive. They were pushing the tempo of the match. And they just, they honestly, it could have been better. It could have been way more. Hugo Lloris is rolling back the years in this one and saved Spurs from a massive destruction and domination. They did play in a 4-2-3-1, and I looked over here at FB Ref. I got to hit FB Ref on a match preview because I just want to get an idea of what the formations that they've been playing, right? So they did 4-3-3 at the beginning of the season, and immediately abandoned it. They have been in a 4-2-3-1 ever since, as you can see here. Their XG, it hovers around mid one and like one. It hovers around 1.5, right? They've got some ones. In Europe, they struggle a lot more. 1.1 against Everton, 1.3 against Newcastle, and even at Tottenham, they're up to 1.7. But as you can tell, it's still around 1. They're not extremely prolific by any means. Again, Chelsea, we're up at that 1.36, I think is our average on the season. We're in a much better position as far as attacking. And so I think that helps. The fact that they're in a 4-2-3-1 very consistently makes them predictable. I think Graham Potter's going to know exactly, especially on short turnaround, exactly what they're going to line up and see. So I think this is helpful for Chelsea as we prepare for this match. Obviously, it is the late match on Saturday, again, at Stamford Bridge, back at the mighty bridge, which we're excited to see here. And then some of the leading into this one, right? Like, look, Chelsea, Manchester United, especially through like the mid 2000s, between 2000 and 2010, massive fixture. We had the Champions League final against them in Moscow. We've had many Champions League nights against them, many cup competitions against them. As you can see, it's been a pretty dry run for us against United. Not much in between the two teams. 1-1 on both legs last season. You had 0-0 the season before. And then the last one is, I think it was under Frank. They got 2-0. United definitely had Frank's number for whatever reason. But again, it's extremely tight between these two teams. We're in 4th, they're in 5th, so why would we expect much more to change between that in this match? We both won 6 matches. The difference is we drew 1 and lost 1 less, so that's literally the difference in point. On average, we're both scoring 1.5 in the Premier League. The good news is we have the edge that we're not conceding nearly as many. It's to the point where Sam, CFC Central, he did a thread with a United person on looking ahead, and they actually say that David De Gea is one of their essentially weaknesses in the team, which is crazy to think about. But hey, he can't stay there everywhere, or you can't stay at the top, forever. So we'll have to see from here. Obviously, Antony creating most of their chances and goals. And then on our side, Casemiro being their big tackler, but a bit of a pedestrian midfield in some of these matches. If we go back to the Spurs lineup, right? So obviously, Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane are the two players playing extremely well. I mean, to keep out England captain Harry Maguire, actually Harry Kane is, but to keep out England staple Harry Maguire is a big deal. Would really wish we could see him. Diogo Dalot and Luke Shaw as their outside backs. In the middle, they pretty much have Casemiro and Fred holding, right? Casemiro has come in, played quite a bit more. He's having a positive impact for them, obviously. Fred seems to have settled a little bit. They have this Brazilian triumvirate in the middle. Then you have Bruno Fernandes sitting in, having space to operate in that number 10 slot with Antony and Jadon Sancho on either side of him. Rashford has been up top. Hasn't really been the goal threat, but he's making the runs to pull the defenders out of position for Sancho and Antony to get in behind and really create some problems for them. Their bench is okay. They obviously Christian Eriksen is an extremely good playmaker. He can come in. Ronaldo, who won't be on the team. Other than that, it's a lot of defenders, right? Malacia, Lindelof, McTominay, Alanga, can provide a little bit of a burst going forward. But for the most part, they don't have a lot on the bench in terms of top creating opportunities if they're chasing the game. Again, Chelsea on the other side, I kind of looked at our formations as well. We've done 3-4-3, or let's just say a back 3 in the last 3 matches. And I expect us to do that again. I think we're going to go into back 3. I think it lines us up nicely against their 4-2-3-1, puts plenty of people in the midfield to overwhelm them, create some opportunities, forces their wing backs back, and gives us a defensive solidity that we can play off of. So obviously the big news and the stuff that I really don't care about, though, is Cristiano Ronaldo will not be a part of the Manchester United squad for this Saturday's Premier League game against Chelsea. Obviously, we all know what happened, right? He went down the tunnel early, refused to come on as a sub, Ten Hag had to suspend him. He probably is going to lose a couple weeks' wages, which he won't even notice in his bank account. Like, it's nice that he's not there for us, but at the same time, it's creating a distraction that they have to deal with, which is good for us. Ten Hag in his pre-match presser is the only thing he talked about, and I'm sure he's super frustrated as well as the players, but at the same time, they're doing a lot of good work without him. Like, are these really distractions? I mean, I think it's a distraction outside of the locker room, but inside the locker room, if Ten Hag is playing his hands the way he could be, it might not be an issue. They could be really well aligned on what they want to do. And especially when you've had, a good run of matches, and include a couple extra wins in the Europa League, they're in good form, and they probably don't care if Ronaldo's on the bench or not, because he's not really playing much. So what that means for me is I have to pick a lineup. I love that we're starting to have some more special cards for the players. You guys are going to have to help me out here, though. Look at this. So Thiago Silva, right? I looked him up. His special card, and I don't play FIFA, so I don't know this, is less. And I don't know what this is. He's got an 85 special card, but his regular is 86. So I could have gone to special, but I stuck with 86. So you FIFA educated people, you let me know what is going on. But I went a 5-2-2-1 or essentially a 3-4-2-1. I think that Trevoh is going to keep his undefeated place in the team, pushing Azpilicueta to the right wing back. I think that is just a far better matchup against United's left side for us. Thiago Silva will slot right back into the middle as usual to be the captain, the general of this team, with Koulibaly on his left. That gives us a lot of height. That gives us a lot of aggressiveness in tackles. And I think that'll give us the cover that we want in front of Kepa, who will obviously retain his place. Chilwell, after being fully rested midweek, will come in to play left wing back, and I think he will have an immense game on the left side of the field. I'm going to go with Ruben and Jorginho in midfield. I think this is always the big gamble when it comes to Graham Potter sides. Again, is he going to put Conor right back in? Probably not. I don't want to see Ruben on the right side and the flank on the channels. He is a mismatch in the middle. Again, if we go back to, Spurs, and they're probably going to have some rotation, right? If you've got Ruben in there to body up with Casemiro, but to essentially to be a problem for Fred and Bruno, or if Anthony and Jadon Sancho try to cut in, he's going to be there with a presence to stop them. And especially with his box-to-box nature, he's going to create those opportunities to get forward and kind of break lines. Again, I think Jorginho is going to come in. I know he started the last match, but he's just a little bit more defensive-minded than Kovacic. So I just have a feeling he's going to lean and go with Jorginho at the expense of a Conor or a Kova at this point. I mean, this is the perfect game for N'Golo Kante. Obviously, we don't have him. There's no way Zakaria is coming in, so let's not even entertain that. Let's just go with what we've seen from Graham, and I think this is how he's going to start. Then lastly is up top, which should be the least surprise out of everything, with Raheem, Aubameyang, and Mount in attack. I think that's our best attacking three. A lot of people want to see something out of Christian. I think he's going to continue to be a super sub for Graham for now. And this is the front three that we're going to get. When Aubameyang came on, he looked really good. Sterling has looked good. And obviously Mount is in the form pretty much of his Chelsea career right now. We want to continue to see that going. So anyways, that's my lineup. Like, from a score prediction, I really kind of think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. The way these teams are playing, I don't think there's going to be a lot in it. They had a huge match against Spurs but they won theirs. We drew against Brentford, albeit we rotated a lot. United doesn't have the luxury of rotating. A couple injuries and they are in trouble. So Chelsea have a huge advantage in that sense, where we can rotate and still have a strong side. But look, I think this is probably one of our strongest lineups the way it stands, without Reece James, without N'Golo Kante. And I think that this is where we're going to go out there and do the business. So look, I just think it's tight. A 1-1 draw doesn't get me excited. I know you guys aren't excited out there either, but I think it's probably the most realistic result. So put your score prediction in the comments. Put your score prediction on... lineup and score predictions. I'm sorry, it's Friday. Been a long week. I hope you guys have had a great one. More pod content. We had a really cool Famous CFC episode out today talking about the long lost weather vane of Stamford Bridge and what the actual true color of Chelsea blue is. I'll tell you what, it ain't this, but You have to listen to Rick Glanville and Gary Barone as they broke that down on the podcast. Anyways, I'm out. Match tomorrow. We're going to be doing pre-match live stream. We're going to be doing halftime Twitter Spaces and a post-match live stream. So stay subscribed. Please like the video so that way you get notified of our future posts. We appreciate you, Chelsea fans. Have a great day. On to Man United tomorrow.